Ready. We're actually going to film this, so Amy is going to do 4, 3, 2, 1 on us, I think. I'm Susan Phelp. I'm the Basalt Planning Director, and we're here today to talk about we are here for the pre-proposal meeting on the Arbaney swimming pool project. This is a project that we've been working on for a number of years. The town has a 1% sales tax for parks, open space, and trails. And we're using that funding to build improvements on Arbaney Park. Today, it's me, Susan K. Phelp. I have with me James Lint, who's the Assistant Planning Director, and Chris Larriman from SGM. We also have members of Public Works here. They're here to help with a lot of the more technical aspects of the project, because this is a big plumbing and mechanical. We have Boyd Bierbaum, who's the Public Works Director, Matt Wagner, and Robert Vicente. I was just going to mispronounce your name, sorry. So what I was going to do today, we have the agenda up on the wall. I'm going to give a brief introduction, background description of the project, talk about the schedules, criteria for selection, highlight some other aspects of the RFP. We'll have an opportunity for questions and answers. The official pre-proposal deadline is Friday, July 5th. And if we have a lot of questions or need a lot of clarifications based on this meeting, we'll submit an addendum before that. The proposals are due on Tuesday, July 9th. And you can check in if you think, and inform us if you don't think that schedule is reasonable. This is, maybe Chris, you could move back a little bit. This is Arbaney Park. It's one of the first community parks that was built in the town of Basalt. It's definitely showing its age, but it's very well used. This is the site plan that was prepared by the Parks, Open Space, and Trails Committee. And this is showing, here's the Arbaney Pool. I don't know if all of you guys know where the Arbaney Pool is. It's kind of a hidden asset in the town of Basalt. You access it back behind Two Rivers Road through Elk Run Drive and circle around Elk Run Drive and come in here, and here's the pool. What we have scheduled for the pool in phase 1 kind of centers around rebuilding the kiddie pool. And the plans are showing new shade structures, getting rid of the prison fence that goes around the pool and replacing it with something aesthetically pleasing. It includes modest improvements to the boys and girls changing rooms. And by this, we're talking about new flooring, paint, plumbing fixtures. We're talking about additional shade sails, particularly over the kiddie pool area. This site plan that was prepared under the guidance of the Parks, Open Space, and Trails Committee actually showed a regrading and kind of expanding this back area. A large part of the project is really looking at the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing and making the pool a much more energy efficient infrastructure. In 2014, the town of Basalt did a greenhouse gas inventory, and the pool was the biggest energy user in the town of Basalt. And Public Works is here so they can speak to kind of how the boiler system and everything works. But kind of key to its existing infrastructure is that there's a solar thermal array on the back here that kind of preheats the pool water and kind of helps eliminate the heating requirements of the boiler. The idea of the project is to look into the future, to develop a plan for how we can make the pool more energy efficient. There's a lot of information in the RFP, prior work that was done by CORE, a little subcommittee that we had with CORE and Holy Cross, where we talked about variable energy pumps and installing those. That's what we want the RFP to look at. The grand plan in phase one is we do the phase one improvements, but we conceptually planned for the phase two improvements. So this orange area is kind of showing what is going to be built in phase one. In phase two, the restrooms that are kind of floating out here would get demolished and moved to the backside here. So we conceptually want to include the restroom plans for Arbaney Park in phase one and figure out all of the kind of plumbing needs. There's subsequent phases of the park that I can go into in more detail when we talk about the capital improvement plan, but eventually, and not included in this particular scope, we'll be redoing the playgrounds. We have ideas for another pavilion and additional volleyball courts and that kind of thing that will actually happen in subsequent phases. Anything else you guys think I should add from this piece, Chris? So the tasks that we've outlined in the RFP is to develop 2 conceptual options and cost estimates for the kiddie pool. We need full mechanical, electrical, plumbing for the outdated pool pumps and mechanical equipment, and then in the changing room improvements. Again, there's modest improvements to the changing rooms that I kind of summarized before. Conceptual design for the future Arbaney Park restrooms. And just to clarify, the Arbaney Park restrooms are for the park. And so the access to those restrooms are from the park side. They're not in the gated, fenced area. One of the ideas from Post is they thought there was a lot of visual barriers when you drive into the parking lot what you see now is kind of the back end of the solar thermal array where we have some tarps and store the pool covers that we're not using. And so they want to really open up this particular area. We want to develop costs for the selection of design and budgeting. So in other words, we want 2 conceptual designs for the kiddie pool. Our thought was that they might be totally different, and that we'd have cost estimates that might range in price. You guys would take the design to a level sufficient enough for doing cost estimates, but you wouldn't actually do bid documents or construction documents on both of them. And then once the selected design is selected by the town, then you would prepare the bid documents so that we can go out to bid. And number 7 is participate in the public process as described. And here's the public process. It's not a really deep public process. Post feels that we've gotten a lot of direction when we prepared the original Post Parks, Open Space and Trails Master Plan. They've met with the town council and received direction from the town. And one of those items was really on whether to have a hot water pool or expand the seasons for the pool. And the direction from the town council was that the basic framework and makeup of Arbaney Park pool will remain the same. It's to be a community park pool. It's going to be used for 3 months out of the year and will not become a full season pool. And it'll be run lifeguard-wise, et cetera, with existing business model, which relies on high school and college age kids. So the public process, we're not really going out to the public and saying what we want. We have a kind of a budget that we're working under. We're not intending to go out for a bond. So it's pretty simple. A kickoff meeting with staff, a charrette with Post and town councilors, meet with staff, Post, committee, P&Z, and town council as requested. I have an asterisk there because we were kind of envisioning that those would be included in the RFP as a cost. So if we ask you to come to more meetings, there would be a cost for each meeting. One public open house where the two options are presented. Schedule. Friday, July 5th is the pre-proposal question deadline. The proposals are due Tuesday, July 9th. They must be received by 4 p.m. And the rest of this schedule is really tentative. We're pretty good at adhering fairly closely to schedules that we put out. So we are hoping to shortlist and start interviewing the Monday the 15th, to select the firm by July 17th, to take a contract to the town council on July 23rd and have the notice to proceed in July 24th. And so in October, we're hoping to have done sufficient work that we're presenting to the town council what the preferred plan is and having them bless it. And we also have enough information to include in the 2020 budget and the capital improvement plan, the CIP. Just overall, big picture where we're going timing. We're hoping in 2019 that we have the design for the kiddie pool, that we prepare the bid documents for phase 1 construction, and that we have the conceptual plan for the Arbaney restrooms. Early in 2020, go out to bid and construct the phase 1 improvements and bid documents for phase 2, and then 2020, construct the phase 2 additional bid documents for the next phase of the construction. Now, obviously, that what this RFP is, oops, we're just kind of dealing with this 2019 part of that schedule. Funding for Arbaney Park, I just kind of want to outline for you the money that we're intending to spend on Arbaney Park. In 2019, we currently have $50,000 budgeted. And if you saw the capital improvement plan itself was included in your proposal. So there are places we can take additional funding if we need additional funds this year. And I'll speak a little bit more to that in a bit. In 2020, we have $475,000, so we're hoping to build the phase 1 improvements for that amount. Keep in mind, we've never prepared cost estimates. So this is looking at our overall whole list of things that we want to accomplish in our parks, open space, and trails, and kind of allocating kind of what seemed reasonable. In 2021, $350,000, and then we have significant funds again in 2022 and 2023 with $600,000 each. In the proposal, there's a table that we want firms that are making the proposal to actually fill out. We've found that when we have kind of an outline of what we want people to fill out, that we can more easily compare prices across the line. So, you know, there's a location to put the price for the design and engineering and the price for each additional meeting, so that we can kind of compare apples to apples. Here's your price for the open house and a price for the shred, et cetera. This is just our selection criteria. It's, you know, pretty standard, the skill level, the expected price, and our understanding or the ability of the applicant to contain the cost to reasonable expectations, understanding the goals of the project, particularly the green goals. And I think this is a pretty significant piece of what we're looking for, is for someone really to look at the pool, its water use, its energy use, and figure out the best program for moving us toward those goals, the ability to follow instructions, meet the time demands of the project, and the quality of the response itself.
Are those in order?
No. I'd say skill, Probably, well, I'd say the first one, just the quality, the skill level is probably the highest of anything. And probably ability to follow directions is probably at the bottom, but it's amazing how many people have struggled with that. Again, the question deadline is Friday, July 5th. So with that, I'll open it up for questions and answers. We can go out to the pool afterwards if you guys are interested in going to the pool, and remember that we have a good representation from Public Works here to ask any questions you have about the public infrastructure. Chris, do you want to add anything?
I think you got the scope of work.
James?
No, I think you covered it.
Boyd?
Is the water line improvement needed?
Okay, here's just a additional thing that I should clarify, is that when you guys speak from the audience, you actually have to come up to the mic. I'm sorry about that, but since we're being filmed, we'll need to do that. I should have clarified, there's another piece to this project, and that is that there is a 2-inch line that serves the pool, and it comes through the Elk Run residential neighborhood, goes over to the restrooms, the current ones that we want to demolish, and then feeds the pool. And the pool actually is never drained. This year we filled the pool with using the fire department and their hose. So as a separate project, we have a water line project, and that's being managed by SGM, and that's going to be handled under additional contract. But you can assume in this that you're going to have enough water, and the water that's going to come in is going to serve the pool, and it's also going to serve, improve the irrigation system in the park. And there's a bunch of options about where that location could be, but that's not included in the RFP. So with that, I'll open it for questions, and if you don't mind coming up and asking at the mic, that would be great. No questions? Oh, got it.
Hello, I'm Connor Riley with Councilman Hunsaker. We are a swimming pool design firm. One question I had was about the replacement swimming pool pumps and mechanical systems. Is that just for the wading pool, or the kiddie pool, or is that for the pool itself?
That's for the whole system, and thank you for asking that question. That's for everything, and it's including, that's why we want you to conceptually plan for the restrooms, because we want all of the pumps and the mechanical to all be designed for the needs of the whole entire park, not just the kiddie pool.
Okay, so it'd be replacing the recirculation pump for the pool itself, all the heating systems, the chemical systems, all that for both bodies of water.
Yes, but it may not be a total replace. You may have a program where you kind of outline how we phase all of that in. We're looking for kind of an overall program for how to most effectively do everything. We might not automatically just replace all the equipment that's there.
Okay.
It's the town wants an assessment.
Okay.
If they should upgrade pumps to be more efficient or not on the entire MEP system for the pools.
Okay. And are the pools on 2 separate systems right now? Are there 2 filters, one per body of water? Are there 2 recirculation pumps?
Rob is indicating yes. Rob, why don't you just join us so you can, if he has any other.
And the total is approximately, and the mechanical is 24 years old. So,
Okay. Hello.
Didn't catch any of that.
And so Boyd, you can sit up here and join us too.
just coming
Okay.
to the pool.
Okay.
The pool and mechanical is 24 years old.
Except the solar thermal was in 2013, I believe. And there's another separate improvement that is programmed for this year, and that is PV panels on the men's locker room, which is right here. And we have that included as a separate item in our budget. However, it's possible we might not do it this year because we're doing some other expensive green team projects and we might need the money.
We're saying they are two separate systems?
Two separate systems.
Okay.
And the pool itself has the solar panel on the main pool. And there's a controller that when you meet the certain set points, it switches from boiler to solar. The waiter pool is a standalone boiler only.
Gas-fired pool boiler?
Yes.
As far as the wading pool, is there any thought to do like a spray ground? Is that one of the options we could come up with, or are we just focused on a pool itself?
You can have spray features. Originally, we had this as a spray park. We have a fountain at Willits Park, and we're thinking about putting one at the Basalt River Park. So we were kind of rethinking that we didn't want just a bunch of spray features, that we didn't want to be the town of spray features. And so the latest thinking is that we would redo the wading pool and potentially make it bigger. We could look at additional features, but it wouldn't be just a spray park
Okay.
like we have it at Willits.
All right, thank you. That's all I had.
Hello, I'm Giles Thornley with Connect One Design. Just a quick couple of questions about the integrity of the pool deck as it is today. Is there any, when we move into the next phase, idea of replacing the pool deck with something else? Is the integrity of the pool deck in such a way that it doesn't, it needs to be really carefully looked after, or does the kiddie pool renovation area trigger a certain amount of pool deck renovation?
We hadn't factored in anything about the pool deck. Potentially could do an evaluation of that. Obviously, the area where the fenced-in area where the kiddie pool and this whole regrading, but we weren't looking at the pool deck. We did a bunch of repairs on the pool itself earlier this year. Rob, do you want to explain what those improvements, those repairs were?
There was plaster repairs.
Very good. But the drainage on the pool deck's all good, and there's nothing.
Yeah, no one's identified that ever as
So
a.
it'll be
as a-
really just repairing the area around whatever we do at the kiddie pool and
Yeah.
call it good. And then you mentioned something about the fence being removed, which is great news. Didn't see anything about that in here. Maybe I didn't read it, but so that's a part of the scope is
Yep.
to redesign a fence around.
Right, and if you look on the plans, you'll see that it's relocated.
Yep.
Also, it comes out here closer to the existing path and comes over, and then in this area is expanded. So, new fence in this area and a new gate in this area where the trucks access, the service trucks access here.
Very good. Very good. I think that's all I had. I was also wondering what sort of documentation there is for as-built and things like that, so the MEPs have something to start with versus from starting from scratch.
I don't think we have any documentation from 1992.
Okay.
We wanted to check into, we did quite a bit of digging a year or so ago when we were looking for construction drawings of the pool buildings themselves, and we weren't finding anything.
Okay, thanks very much.
Laura Kirk with DHM Design. And I just had a question about the connection between Phase 1 and Phase 2. In terms of skill level, are you looking for a team that's going to be able to go from Phase 1 to Phase 2, or are you only hiring for Phase 1 at this point?
I think ideally we would like to move from Phase 1 into Phase 2 without going back out to bid. We have our own kind of procurement code to kind of work through, but ideally, I think we would get a team that we could move into phase 2 kind of seamlessly.
Okay, thank you.
And just to mention that we touch on it in the RFP, that we say that we're thinking that there are services that aren't included in this, and that, I think that was a big kind of theme. And when we were writing this, we weren't trying to cover everything that might come up, that we were kind of envisioning that we would have some additional services, but we didn't know really how to scope it out.
And what would you mean by those?
Well, just like the after we can prepare the bid documents, just kind of taking it to the next level where we're helping to manage the bid process, and construction management and that type of thing.
But that's not part of the fee that you're asking for?
No, we're not asking for that fee now, but
Okay.
we're thinking that that would be an add service.
Okay.
And that was one reason that we want, and if there's additional services that you would like to propose, just to make it really clear in the proposal.
Okay. Thank you.
Jeff Halferty, JH Design. Are we to assume that the existing mechanical room is to have enough square footage for any additional equipment, for either the solar array or any of the other proposed mechanical pumps for the pool system? Saying
It's
if-
good, you can go over and look. There was a picture of the room in the RFP. I'm thinking that if you don't think it's large enough, I think that you should be drawing it to our attention. We have, it's a concrete block structure, so it's not something that's, easily just expanded. But there's enough room adjacent to it if we needed to do something. I think it's particularly the fact that we're kind of expanding this area. Is that helpful?
Yes, that's helpful, thank you. And then on the wading pool, is there a number of occupants and or a square footage size or is that up to our design team to?
I think that's up to your design team to give us some recommendations on that.
And do we know the existing area of the existing pool now?
You mean the square footage?
Yeah, about?
We can get it
Take
to
it
you,
off. Okay.
yeah. We've surveyed, SGM did a survey, we included that in your packet, but we can get you the area of the pool. The gallons of water are in the
saw that.
RFP.
Okay. Thank you.
I got a couple of questions regarding the green. Have you consulted with CORE? I didn't catch if you had.
Yes, we've
Okay.
consulted with CORE, and we consulted with Holy Cross.
Okay.
So,
And you discussed green goals. Are there some quantifiable specific goals for the pool? Because if we go full bore, it might mean putting a new mechanical building in, and that's going to blow your budget. So we can be efficient, but
we don't have any targets, if that's what we have overall targets for the town of reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but we don't necessarily for the pool.
is it a target of efficiency or is it a target of cost savings? I know that they're somewhat related, but
I would say that the main goal, the lens that the council would look at is primarily reducing greenhouse gas emissions and cost. Those two are kind of, we've got one counselor that would, if you could make the pool 100% electricity, which isn't very reasonable, I think they would make it 100% electricity because it is a efficient source of energy. But we do have to weigh that with cost and our yearly kind of outgo of costs. I think we're looking for expert advice. We're looking for someone to do a deep dive. I think we've used our kind of free resources or modest cost of, SGM had done a study 15 years ago, and CORE did the one that's actually included in your in the RFP. But I think we're looking for a deep dive in some recommendations. And again, it may not be that you're gonna do everything at once, just kind of laying out a schedule of what we should anticipate and look forward
On
to.
that segue, can the town arrange a meeting for engineers to review the current facilities?
Yes, in fact, and we can also, just walk over there now, you can kind of visually see it after we conclude here. But yeah, we can have a separate meeting where we're doing a deep dive with these guys and our engineer with Chris. Just really the people that are in this room, and then Rob Larson, who's our certified pool technician, is on vacation, and so he's extremely knowledgeable too.
Thank you.
Boyd has a question. Do you want to clarify something I said, Boyd?
Just 3 areas I was thinking about. Do we, when they're doing all the new connections and stuff, do we want to integrate a security system over there? Right now we just have some cameras placed, and in the remodel, do we want to have it more formal, or?
Actually, Boyd brings up a good point that wasn't included in our RFP. Let's have some additional discussion on that. We might have that as an addenda, but we have some security cameras, and we've kind of done it the order from Amazon way. But we don't have that included in the scope. So let's do a little bit more talking, and then we'll maybe include that in the addendum.
Okay, and then a better connection or supply to the barn. Because, currently it's run off one leg of the pool. It's just, very minimal, and I didn't know if we needed to integrate that in
You're talking electrical.
electrical.
You mean, you're talking about the service to the barn?
Yeah, it's just like a 110 service
Yeah.
that runs a light bulb.
I think we can include that one in the proposal. It's just when you're doing the kind of the electrical and the electrical needs and demand, maybe we just look at that. It's kind of a feasibility study.
Right,
Kind of.
because I don't know if the barn is what it is, or if they're gonna,
Yeah.
it's always been talked about doing more. And then maybe people are gonna need more information on the water connection, since we're gonna be going from a 2-inch line to probably an 8-inch supply, or 4-inch supply or whatever. And it's gonna be coming in at a different place, so we might need to talk about how these guys can get their mechanical and water to that point.
Yeah. And Chris is, actively part of that team, so.
Right.
Well, it'll be an 8-inch line, and we'll bring it to the mechanical room.
Okay.
So, for this project, you should assume that you'll have a new service capable of providing service to everything out there.
Right.
And we don't have the location picked yet. There's like 4 options, I think.
I just didn't know how far in we were gonna go, if we were just gonna stub it out and then let somebody figure out how we're gonna connect the pool and then go, with irrigation and stuff like that.
Guess it depends when we build the water line. If we do it, it depends when we build the water line.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? If you have additional questions, you can send them to planning@basalt.net. Again, the pre-proposal deadline is the Friday, the 5th of July. And the proposals are due on Tuesday, July 9th at 4 p.m. They can be emailed. If they're hard copies, the number of copies, et cetera, are in your proposal. With that, I think I'll close the camera if there's no other questions. Amy? So anybody want to go out to the pool?